Is your grandmother a good cook?
She was, yeah, totally. All of my grandmothers are gone now, but actually that's not true. I feel bad now that I've said that, because I have one that is still around, but I never see her. She's up really far away. But my grandma that I was close to was an awesome cook, yeah.
What was her best dish?
She is from South Dakota, so anything that is bound with cream of mushroom soup, like casseroles, things like that. But she was good at Thanksgiving dinner. She would like hand grind cranberries in like a meat grinder, which is something I have a memory of. But yeah, just like Midwestern Catholic food, dude. It's not particularly cultural or delicious, but
but it is.
Yeah.
Okay, what makes you feel stuck?
Everything. I have imposter syndrome really bad. So, observing the work and success of people in my industry and my colleagues and friends tends to make me feel like I am not in their league, and that causes me to feel like I am not doing the most, which leads me to feel in almost a constant state of stuckness, really. I have a really big problem comparing myself to others, so...
Okay, and so what is something, like when you feel that feeling, what is something you do to kind of break that?
I get asked this kind of a lot, and I feel like I don't have, it's my job, so I don't have the option except to just break it. And so even when I do feel like that, I just have to work through it, because otherwise I am not making money. So I have learned to just compartmentalize, I guess, and put it aside, and just keep going and know that eventually I'll get past it if I just keep working. But yeah, I don't have the luxury of being able to take a break, and recharge, because I always have work to do. So I've had to learn to be able to compartmentalize my feelings of inadequacy to an extent. So.
Is there simple tips that help you to create? Is there anything that, having coffee? Or...
Yeah, I work in 25-minute increments, because I am always working on multiple things at once. So I have a timer, I set it for 25 minutes, and I work on one thing, and when it goes off, I move to the next thing. Otherwise, I can easily get burnt out. I'm usually working on 4 or 5 illustrations at a time. So it helps me when that timer goes off, I move to another illustration, or I move to packing orders, or I move to emails, or I move to hand drawing. And then by the time I've cycled through the 5 things that I'm working on, I have a fresh approach to the thing that I was working on before. So usually I'm working on 5 or 6 things a day in 25-minute increments from 8 to 6.
Okay, great. You can take a sip of your drink.
I'm not good at sound bites. I know this is an issue that people have with me.
Yeah, no, that's good. At karaoke, what song do you pick?
It depends on the mood that I'm in. I do Sweet Child of Mine and Bon Scott era AC/DC, but I'm also an Aretha Franklin fan.
Oh, all right. What is the best part of your day?
When my dude gets home and we are done with work and we just chill and drink a beer and relax before we eat dinner, probably.
Great. How do you deal with rejection?
What's rejection?
Ooh.
No, it's the same thing as everything else. I just don't have the luxury of dwelling on stuff. Something that to mention Bon Scott of AC/DC twice in less than a minute, something that helped me a lot when I was depressed was an early AC/DC song called Ride On, where he just talks about how shit sucks and you just gotta ride on through it, and I think about that a lot. I even have it tattooed on myself. People think I'm a biker, but actually I just believe in riding through shit. So that is something that I just try to keep in mind. I'm fortunate I don't actually deal with rejection very much in my career right now, because I have the luxury of choosing what I do. But that doesn't mean that I don't feel rejected personally by my own self, in my work, or by my colleagues at times. So yeah, if that makes sense, I just kind of have to power through it.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to your insecurities and the things that your fears or whatever, how do you confront those directly?
I don't know if I do. I guess I always have been the type of person who will eventually come to like a tipping point and just be like, fuck it, I have to try it, or I have to stop it, or I have to start something new. And I, not so much as I guess not so much as fear, but when I get up to a point of stagnation, that's when we typically hit that tipping point. And it's kind of the same thing where it's like, I will be afraid to step outside of my comfort zone as far as what medium I use, you know, and when I really get to that point, then it's like, okay, fuck it, we're taking the spray paint and we're gonna go find a wall and like, I'm gonna learn how to do a new thing, you know what I mean? Or like, more recently I've been able to like travel, you know, not like a lot, but like be able to like go out of town for the weekend and stuff, and like that, you know, just, I don't know, I feel like I'm getting off on a tangent, but basically like forcing myself outside of my comfort zone to do something. Like, I'm not a spontaneous person anymore at this point in my life, so I guess like forcing myself to be spontaneous, which does not sound very spontaneous, but that, I don't know, I guess just trying to force myself out of my comfort zone, which is hard because I have created a little nest for myself and I don't actually get out of it very much. So I don't get in positions where I need to do that much anymore. But every once in a while, I guess it does just come to a point of like forcing myself to go and do something I'm not very good at, you know?
Yeah, that's great. And the last question is, when do you feel most vulnerable?
I think when I am showing work to people, new work, I am fortunate to be surrounded by so many super talented people, but that leaves me in the position of feeling like if I show all these talented people what I'm working on, are they actually going to like it, or are they just going to pretend they like it? So
that's when you feel most vulnerable.
Yeah, totally. I do, a lot of my work that I do is more personal than I think people realize, and so I will show people things feeling like it's really something that is like showing a lot of me, and I realize after the fact that like not everyone has all those nuances and understands like where this is coming from, you know, like for me all of my work is really personal, so when I show it to people, it like, I am stressed that people are not going to respond to it, but then people usually respond positively to it, but then they respond to stuff that I didn't even notice, or they don't notice stuff that I thought they would, you know, and like sometimes that's good. But yeah, I definitely just showing new work and producing new stuff and like putting out in the world is like a constant state of vulnerability kind of, but like I feel like I try to embrace that a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have like a group of people that you, like kind of a clique of people that kind of respond to your stuff, that help, like kind of like your core people, like
Yeah.
you share with them and then they help?
Yeah, I have very few people. I'm really private about my work because I've dealt with it being stolen from me so many times. So even people that I would consider myself close to professionally, I don't generally share with because you never know. There's a lot of, in this world, there's a lot of like collective consciousness and like hive mind that happens in this industry where like everyone will think of the same thing around the same time, or you will show someone a sketch and then they'll forget that they saw it and then they'll come up with something that is reminiscent of that sketch, but they didn't do it on purpose, you know what I mean? And I've caught myself doing stuff and being like, this is a great idea, and then being like, oh, this is fucking not my idea, you know? And I've been lucky that I've been able to catch myself, but there are because of that, I am very cagey about showing my stuff to people unless I know them really well. Or unless I feel that they come from a similar place as me. So I show my work to Josh, my husband, and my friend Tuesday Basson. I show her a lot of my stuff because we are really similar, but we also, even though we do the same thing, our work is pretty different. So like I don't feel competitive with her necessarily, and also she's like way more successful than me, which also helps you not feel competitive, you know, because I'm like, well, I don't feel like I'm infringing on you and you're doing stuff that's really different from me, so like, I'll bounce stuff off her, but I'm pretty private about my work, actually, like, so, I don't know, it's hard for me even when I have new stuff to like release it, because I'm afraid like, oh, it's not going to be as good as the last thing, you know, so.
Perfect. Well, that's great. Yeah.